Hello, welcome back to 340 Paddler, and today I want to talk about required equipment. Now, for the 340, if you've looked at the Paddler's Guide at rivermiles.com, you will see this list of required gear. I just want to run through it real quick, sort of let you know the tricks that most of us use and the best way to deal with it. So, starting off, of course, you will need a life jacket or PFD. Now, I did a video recently on PFDs types and a way to decide which kind you want, but you need a PFD. If you do not have a PFD aboard your boat, you will be removed from the race. So make sure that you have a PFD. You will need a river map. Now, this has been a point of discussion on the forums for a couple of years, and really what you need is the safety card, because on the back of it, it has your mile markers for each of your checkpoints, and that gives you a good idea of where you are on the river at any given time. You just look at that, and then you look at the river mile that you will see as you paddle downriver, and you will always know where you are, which is important if you have to call a safety boat. We have the cell phone and spare battery. The importance here is both. You must have a cell phone with you at all times. And in the past, this just meant having a spare battery you could plug into your phone in the back of it. Of course, phones don't do that these days, so now most people carry a power bank of some sort. A power bank of 10,000 milliamps is probably sufficient to charge your phone and keep it running throughout the race. And all you do is you take your phone, you plug it into the power bank, you put it in your dry bag or wherever. If you have a power bank that's waterproof, then awesome, keep it in the boat, and you go from there. Spare paddle. This has been another point of discussion over the years. Now, recently, Scott has more or less removed the requirement for a spare paddle. That being said, you really want to have a spare paddle of some form. The reason is, if you're stuck 4 hours from the next checkpoint and you broke your paddle on a wing dike or a rock you didn't see or a log or anything else, you really want to get to the next point. So you want to have something, even if it's a small breakdown emergency paddle, the sort of thing you can pick up at Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop for maybe $10 or $20. You need rope for towing. And the rope for towing should float. So you can throw it to one of the safety boats. They can tow you if that's a necessity. You should probably have about 50 feet of rope. And it's something you can keep in the boat somewhere. It should be within reach, though, so that if something does happen, you can gain access from it on the water. A knife. You should have a knife. The reason for it is when you fall, or if you were to fall out of your boat. It's also useful for a number of other things, like keeping away the attacking carp and all that sort of thing. But if you fall out of your boat, you could find yourself tangled in lines that you've used to tie things to the boat. Maybe you're tangled in your leg leash or something like that. My best recommendation here is going to be, at least in my case, I use a dive knife, but you can use a paddling knife too, something that can attach to your person. More specifically, to that goofy black clip that no one ever knows what it does on your PFD. That way, if something does happen, it's on your chest, you can pull it off and make use of it rapidly. First aid kit. You should have one that's going to get 1 to 2 people through about 12 hours of almost anything that can happen. This doesn't have to be a massive kit. It can be fairly small and straightforward. Matches. Now, this could be matches, lighters, etc., something to start fire, because you might find yourself stuck on a sandbar somewhere and it's particularly cold. Well, you're going to be surrounded by driftwood and sand, and given that option, I'd go ahead and build myself a fire, although I'm not sure that any have ever actually been built, but it's a good idea to have anyway. The emergency blanket. The emergency blanket is small, compact, weighs almost nothing. You can pick them up for $3 to $5. But it is incredibly useful, especially if you're stuck out in the rain or the fog and you can't paddle anymore. So your best option at that point is to pull over somewhere and take a nap. You're going to want an emergency blanket to at least keep you warm during that time. You also need to have 12 hours of water. Now, this is 12 hours of water from the time that you leave a checkpoint, not 12 hours of water at all times throughout the race. And basically what you're going to want is probably about a gallon to a gallon and a half of fluids with you. That's sort of a general ballpark. And it's not just your water. You could have a bottle of Gatorade, etc., that would add to that. And frequently this is done using coolers or using a Camelback, or in my case, up until this year, I'm changing water systems this year, platypus water tank, which you can hook to a platypus drinking tube and have 6 liters of water sitting in the back. Of course, you don't always have to fill it to 6 liters. 4 would probably be sufficient. You need navigation lights. You must have a red, a green, and a white. And I did a video on this. It's called night paddling. So look that up. You'll have more information. And the best option here would be to get these e-gear lights. They cost about $10 or $15 on Amazon. Obviously, you don't need blue and yellow, but the red, white, and green are very effective. They're waterproof. Just take the clip off, put some Velcro on the back of them, stick them on your boat. And a flashlight or spotlight. Now, this is going to be primarily for signaling. That's our big concern. Some people will get a giant mega lantern with approximately 500,000 lumens of power. That is way more than you need because you don't need to shine for channel markers and shine for river markers. It's not really that important unless you're in trouble. One of the smaller ones, a 500 or maybe 1,000 lumen flashlight, will be more than sufficient. You can also get the atomic beam, some of the new little tiny mega flashlights, and those will work great too. You can see them for miles. They're very effective, lightweight, and waterproof. So if you have all these things, you can relax during the race and enjoy the beauty of the 340. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, quarrels, qualms, quandaries, curse words, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, this is 340 Paddler, hoping that you keep your paddle in the water. This video brought to you by the South Dakota Kayak Challenge. One of the first things you will do when you arrive at the South Dakota Kayak Challenge is go to a safety meeting, because that's what we do. We're paddlers. Moving past that, and the first rule you will be told is, do not stop in Nebraska. Why? We have no idea. We're given this map. It says stay out. You are told absolutely, positively, stay out of Nebraska. At least until you get to the end of the race, which, of course, well, yeah. South Dakota Kayak Challenge. Registration opens January 1st.